Okay, we're back live. Sorry about that, everybody. No one calls me. No one wants anything to do with me until I'm streaming. And then, of course, the phone rings, the doorbell rings. Everyone needs me. So, to begin, company updates from our lobby day in Olympia. So, I attended the lobby day in Olympia with the Environmental Priorities Coalition. We broke up into our individual districts at the local church, which was where the event was being organized. I am part of District 6. Our representatives that we were able to have an audience with were supposed to be Jeff Holy and Jenny Graham. Uh, we were invited into the offices of Jeff Holy. However, he was not available, which is naturally a conflict of interest. It is the legislators' jobs to speak with us as we come to lobby. So that was a bit discouraging. We spoke with his aide, which was Matt McColm. We actually did not get his name until one of the gals from our district, her name was Laura Ackerman. She's part of the Lands Council. Went back and got his name. There was a bit of a standoffish, confrontational energy, I would say, as some of our young people were explaining their stories to him. Um, an engineer among the group was stating some possible solutions to the fossil fuel crisis. And it is a crisis. It is an environmental crisis, absolutely. He seemed a bit discouraged by that. He said that it wouldn't work and that it was a waste of time. So that was a bit discouraging from Mr. McCollum. So when my time came to speak, I introduced myself. I stated that I'm a business owner and that our company is working on solutions to fossil fuel energy, such as magnetic motors, such as plasma, such as wind, solar, etc. I then gave him my business card. And this is where it got a bit strange. He suggested that I get in contact with Elon Musk. So I'm actually writing Elon Musk a letter explaining to him that my company is sharing a lot of the same ambitions that he has. And with the recent release of Tesla patents, we are now able to possibly apply those to some of our prototype directions. And if we're able to enhance them, we can file our own patent. Or we may decide to go with a trade secret route, depending, of course, on finances. But after I gave Mr. McCall my business card, most of the remainder of the conversation was with him staring at the business card. So this tells me that I did a very good job, at least in designing the business card. This is my own design. And he seemed more interested in my story as a business owner than some of the others, which was more environmental. Now, this doesn't come as a big surprise to me. Politicians, their aides, they are obviously interested in money and business. So the meeting adjourned without much progress, I would say. We asked for a statement from Mr. Holy on climate change and on the 100% clean electricity bill for Washington State. We did not get a reply. So I'm actually writing a letter to the Spokesman Review, which is the local newspaper. I'm also conducting an email to Mr. Holy himself, asking, first of all, why weren't you there to meet with us? And secondly, what is your stance on climate change and the current legislation that is going up for vote this year? So our next meeting was with Jenny Graham. We waited outside her office for about 15 minutes. She was busy. We spoke with her aide. She then came out of her office, and we were never invited into her office to speak. We spoke with her in the hallway outside of her office. And some of us in District 6 felt that that was a bit rude. We shared our information with her about the upcoming bills for vote, about our stance on the environment here in the West Plains of Washington State. And again, once I gave her my business card, introduced myself, explained myself, her eyes seemed fixated on the business card. And this was rather interesting to me. She seemed concerned about solutions to the fossil fuel energy demand. She was citing examples like, what if the sun doesn't shine? What if the water doesn't flow? What if there's no wind? And I honestly feel that a lot of our lawmakers are either completely unaware of solutions such as magnetic motors, such as plasma, such as hydrogen fuel, or they are aware and they have already secured contracts with big fossil fuel corporate interests that are probably paying them quite a bit. So I assured Mrs. Graham that we are working on solutions and that there is technology that is available to handle the demand of fossil fuels because we have enough oil. That's evident. We have enough oil. We have more than enough oil. Anybody who says there's an oil shortage, they're lying to you. And it's part of the Ponzi scheme that is oil and fossil fuels. She seemed a little more sincere than Mr. McColm did, and it was nice to speak directly to a legislator, eye-to-eye contact. But we weren't invited into the office. The meeting was a bit brief. She did pledge that she would review the material that we shared. So I'm going to be composing a follow-up to her asking if she did review that material. And that was about it for that meeting. So both meetings, I feel, were a bit of a double-edged sword. I think we got our point across. The initial lobby numbers were very good. We had a really good turnout. The young people were there. We had people from high schools passionate about the energy industry. Extremely refreshing from my perspective to know that there are young people interested in this because they are the future. Without the young people speaking of this and pushing for this, it's not going to go anywhere. And, my time in this vessel will grow short. So they are the future, and it is very refreshing that they are passionate about seeing the 100% clean electricity bill signed into law and, more importantly, enforced. One thing I've learned in working with the Fuse Council is that some of these bills are passed, but they are very loosely enforced. And I think that was an important aspect that we covered, is that if these bills do come to pass, they not only need to be, written into law, they need to be enforced. Otherwise, we have a dirty type of infrastructure, like in Colstrip, Montana. They showed me images from the coal plant there, and it looked like Fukushima to me. It just looked absolutely disgusting. And Avista Utilities, which is the local utility, is still getting energy from there. And this has to be eliminated. When asked about examples of how fossil fuels have detriment, which is plainly evident to me and everyone else in the environmental scene, I need only point at Hanford Nuclear Reservation right here in Washington State. A ticking time bomb of nuclear fallout and radiation, leaking out more every day, mutating the ecosystem more every day. The rate of leukemia and some forms of cancer is higher in this state, mostly in the inland Northwest here, which is where Hanford is located, than most anywhere else in the nation. So it doesn't take a genius to connect those dots. I tried to record some live video from the event. However, the video did not go through. It didn't process. And this is very suspicious to me. Anyone who follows me knows that we have had numerous instances of infiltration. We've been stymied. I've had some questionable activity go on from both of my internet service providers installing numerous modems in my homes, actually lying to me about the IP not being static. When we first signed up, I was informed the IP was static. After 3 to 4 modems and hours of troubleshooting and calls with them about setting up our company server, they then decided to tell me that it's a dynamic IP. So why were they lying to me? The Freemasons told me it's because they're spying on me and the company. So, I mean, there is definitely evidence to back that up. Our CTO is compiling more and more evidence of this. And should we ever compile enough evidence that we feel convinced we have a case, we will take it to court. And we will sue CenturyLink Comcast for illegal espionage. But we're not quite at that point yet. I mean, you have to have an overwhelming amount of evidence, especially when you're going against a multi-billion-dollar corporation like CenturyLink or Comcast, which basically controls almost every civilian's internet access. But anyway, back to the camera. I had just bought a brand new camera specifically for this event, I think 2 days before the event. And the fact that my video did not go through tells me that there had to be some type of infiltration here, because the photos I took went through. The photos are posted on my Facebook. I'll have a link to that in the chat. You can keep updated with me there. I update frequently there, on Twitter as well. But yeah, brand new camera, recorded video at the rally. It said error. It didn't process. but my photos went through okay. So very suspicious to me. I had hoped to be streaming live from there here on YouTube, and I could not. And the only answer I have is this shadow entity that continues to stymie us and try to slow down our progress. So those are updates from the company. As I said, I'm going to be following up. I meet with Jim Dawson from Fuse Spokane later this week to find out if I can become a member of the Fuse Council. I feel that it would be extremely beneficial to me as CEO of this company to have legal contacts, to have political contacts, which is exactly what Fuse, being a member of that council, can give me exactly the information I need. So I hope to pursue that endeavor. I think that it's a good role for me to have as CEO of this company. I think it's exactly what I should be doing. So moving on to the next topic, polar shift. Media is now admitting polar shift. They're admitting that it's affecting GPS, navigation, satellites. It's been happening for me since 2015. My phone is always jumping time zones at times. Sometimes I'll lose an entire day and I'll look at my phone and it's a day behind in a completely different time zone. So I know that my phone has been affected. There are some who claim that it's not affecting GPS and that it will not. There's even some media that states that. And then there's some media that's stating that GPS is having to be updated. So your only way to find the truth of this is through your own spiritual discernment. How thirsty are you for that truth? How much time are you willing to dedicate to scouring through, media articles from multiple sources to come to your own determination? But for me, it's clear. I need only look at the stars, and I know that polar shift is happening and that it will affect GPS and in unforeseen ways. I don't think that many are seeing the larger picture, the ripple effects from a polar shift and how it can affect GPS and navigation. And it's already happening with the birds and fish, as we see they are, dying off in more mass kills every day. They're acting strangely. They're unable to navigate, flying into walls. 5G technology would seem to support this as well. There's media stating that 5G technology is killing the birds because it completely shorts out their sense of navigation. Excuse me. In 2011, it was 2011, when there were mass bird and fish kills worldwide. I believe there was some type of magnetic disturbance, and I believe it was also connected to 5G technology, cell phone towers. And at that time, I think it was just being tested. But now we're seeing it's being rolled out. And there are a multitude of detrimental health effects for basically all living beings. Unless, of course, you have some type of Faraday cage, some type of EM shield. And if you're running on 5G technology for your communications, for your internet, to shield that and protect yourself is going to interfere with that communication. You won't be able to connect. So basically, you're tapped into the matrix 100%, or you're not. And that's really what it's going to come to. But with the media now admitting polar shift, this is another sign for everybody. Your local conspiracy theorists, they're not lying to you. This is another instance where we've had years of people saying, oh, there is no polar shift. Media saying there is no polar shift. Now they're doing an about face and saying, oh, yes, there is a polar shift. Basically saying that, yes, the conspiracy theorists were correct, as they have always been. So vindication for some. As I've stated before, I don't seek vindication nor acknowledgement. I simply seek to give people the truth. And I know that the truth is difficult. And if it is not difficult, then it's not the entire truth. Yeah, that's about it for this video. Updates from 0 Point Technologies. As CEO, I went to lobby in Olympia. I met a lot of wonderful people engaged not only locally in my district, but in the statewide abroad. Exchange business cards with some lawmakers and some engineers on the scene. Hopefully, we'll be able to collaborate more in the future. I'm looking to join the Fuse Council Spokane to become more involved locally with our legislators in getting this legislation passed that can greatly benefit company progress. And as I've long stated, the goal of my company, of 0 Point Technologies, is prosperity. And when you have prosperity, profit comes naturally. So I'm going to continue my efforts. I'm going to continue to record media I can under independent journalism. And I'd like to thank all of you for watching and for your support. And I pledge to continue this endeavor to bring 100% clean electricity, not only to Washington State, but to the national level. And by attending these meetings, going to Olympia on the state level, becoming more involved, I take the company from the city level to the state level, hopefully to the national level. So that's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll have links in my video description to my Facebook, my Twitter, Zero Point Technologies page. Give me a follow and let's work together. Any engineers hearing this, we need engineers to help us in developing this technology. We have expanded quite a bit from our early days as simply a media educational company and are now showing ambitions to create our own technology. So let's work together. Let's make a clean and abundant future that we can all live in comfortably together.